In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about a telepathic message that I received when I was 14 years old. And the following is a video that I made to help explain that scenario. And while you can watch this video on its own, it was initially designed to accompany a Medium article that I wrote titled, "The Night God Spoke to Me, Telepathy is Real." The following video was to explain things that didn't make it into that article. If you want to read that article, which is about what I perceive I learned from receiving a telepathic message at the age of 14, then that's easy to do. It's the first link under the description below. So I decided to publish this on YouTube. So here you go. This is my second Medium article, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it, include information that didn't make it into the article. And the first thing I'll say is that the reason I didn't want to reveal the exact message I received telepathically when I was 14 is because, well, there's multiple reasons. One is because it's highly embarrassing. I mean, the second part of the prophecy, if you want to call it that, never came to pass. I have no reason to believe that it will, and it's just awkward. And this experience had, I can't know for certainty, but it seems highly likely that it had an incredible impact upon me. Now, it's possible that whatever patterns emerged in my life post the reception of the telepathic message would have happened anyways, because I was predisposed to go in that direction. So I can't know for certainty how my life would have turned out had I never received that telepathic message. What I can say is that it seems to me it gave me a huge false sense of security about my future. And that might be a hint to what the second part of the prophecy was. And when it happened, bear in mind, I was only 14 years old. I was a young child. I didn't have an adult mind. Couldn't parse my experiences with the wisdom that I have now. So you can only imagine how influential that experience was on me. And furthermore, when it happened, I was convinced, as far as I recollect, that it was coming from God. Think about that. You're 14 years old. You're receiving this completely and utterly unambiguous telepathic message, and on top of it all, you're convinced it's coming from the Almighty. That's going to fuck you up, one way or the other, I would argue. And, you know, you can see why I believed it. What else could have that capacity? And if it had that capacity, mustn't it be telling the truth? But now with greater wisdom and reflection, I look back on it and I think it may have led me astray in a very big, powerful way. On the other hand, there's another way to look at this telepathic message. And that is through the lens of the Matrix movie, if you will. When the Oracle was met by Neo, he was told that he wasn't the one. But after that, Morpheus told Neo something to the effect of, "Now remember, Neo, she told you what you needed to hear. It's not so much about right or wrong, but what you needed to hear." So it is plausible that that telepathic message was what I needed to hear, even though it may well have put me down a path that led to a lower quality of life. And that's why in the article I say there was collateral damage. But the gift that I was given from that experience is I learned how flawed free will is. obviously, if you're 14 years old and you receive a telepathic message, that's going to influence you if you're a child, especially if you believe it was coming from God. And yet, that telepathic message is merely a metaphor, I would argue. In my article, I write very clearly, the Almighty Creator leads his children astray. There is not one religion that has ever been able to persuade me otherwise. And I'm a pragmatic objectivist, in my opinion. I try to eschew emotion as much as possible and merely try to perceive reality as objectively as I can. Now, that telepathic message is like your parents or your culture or your religious heritage or your friends or your echo chambers. All of those things have great capacity to lead you astray. They may not be supernatural the way my telepathic message was, but their ability to lead you astray is every bit as potent. And that is what the telepathic message taught me. Because I do think it led me astray. It made me paranoid. It increased my OCD. It made me superstitious. It had all kinds of impacts upon my mind for years and years and years and years. What else do I want to cover? Another thing I want to cover is, in the article, I talk about my friend. Technically, at the time, he wasn't my friend in the sense that we had a falling out. And that detail probably makes it more sensible why I wasn't in communication with him. But I didn't want to put that into the article because it would just, for me, it would be just a huge distraction. Not really pertinent to what I'm trying to get across. So technically, just to be as accurate as possible, it wasn't my friend. It was someone that was my friend, and we had a falling out when prior to me going on vacation. Okay? Now, my title is The Night God Spoke to Me, Telepathy is Real. Do I know for certainty that telepathy is real? No. No, I don't. All I can say is that the experience I had was utterly unambiguous, to the point where it wasn't even just the reception of a telepathic message. My physiology, my mind, it felt like I was flooded with euphoria, bliss, if you will, and I even remember a tear going down my cheek from this explosion of euphoria. It impacted my tear duct. It was a convergence of multiple phenomena occurring at once, if you will. And this is why I don't believe it didn't happen. I believe it did happen. Could it be a false memory? Sure. But I remember, I think I told my mom about it, like not that many years afterward. I also have that memory. Look, it makes for a better title to say telepathy is real. It's my opinion that it's real, so I don't think my title is misleading. But ultimately, do I know that it's real? No, I don't know. We don't know. We don't have perfect understanding of the mind. Then again, it's weird that the message knew something that it seemed that I could not have known, which is that my friend lost interest in something and then got interested in wrestling. That's really all I wanted to add. To supplement the article, if you will, stuff that I didn't want to make this article too long or too convoluted, but it's kind of cool to give you an accompanying video that goes a little bit more in depth than what I added in the article. And it's I'll talk a little bit about the Collins Elite because I think that could factor into it. Now, if you've noticed some of the interviews that Elizondo has done, I recollect that he has defended people in the Pentagon who see the UFO subject as dangerous because of their religious sensibilities. And I recollect he has explicitly stated, look, they believe that sincerely. and are emphasizing their belief and trying to influence policy because they believe that's what's best for humanity, in the same way that you believe other things are best for humanity. Don't quote me on this. This is not necessarily an accurate representation with El Elizondo stated, but I never forgot that because it resonates with me. Are the Collins elite evil? I don't think they are. And I know they're probably not really called the Collins elite, but there are people in the Pentagon, in the United States government military, who are vehemently against the UFO subject being discussed publicly and being acknowledged. And it's because they think it's bad for humanity. Now, how much free will is actually playing out from these individuals? Well, I can't know for certainty. Only the creator of the heavens and the earth, if such a creator exists, which I believe does, would know. And I'm not saying there's zero free will. But I'm also saying that if you were born to their parents and had their genetics and had their experiences, you may be in the same exact place philosophically as they are, which is kind of the underpinning of this article, frankly. We don't have nearly as much free will as we want to believe. And I think part of why we want to believe that everyone's walking around with so much free will is so that we can be angry, bitter, antagonistic toward those that disagree with us. And yet we're only deluding ourselves most of the time in those scenarios. We're only deluding ourselves. We are giving way too much credit to this idea that we choose how we perceive. When in reality, instead of it being this mythological concept of perfect free will, it's really the result of genetics and religion and parental upbringing and your siblings and your culture and your religious heritage. And the list goes on. There's much less free will than we want to believe. And that reality should soften our hearts, make us less judgmental, make us less toxic toward those that disagree with us. Because there's a very good chance that even if people that disagree with us are wrong, their perspective is sincere and is not coming from ill will, even if it's bad for humanity. Now, there's a caveat there, of course. And I talk about that in my article. But it's something worth meditating upon. I think that's enough. I think I said enough. And I hope you enjoyed this article. And I'm going to write more in the future. Have a good one. Please do not forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You could become a patron. You could become a YouTube member. You could give me a one-time donation. All those possibilities are in the description below. Or you could just slap a like on this bad boy and I'll appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all patrons, YouTube members, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.